Have you ever noticed that when you're in trouble financially, you have to take desperate measures? And unless you're ready, which most people usually are not ready, even if they know it's impending because of procrastination, decision making can get clouded. And when you're desperate and in trouble, you tend to make choices that are much more expensive, which is really interesting because you're not usually in a position to spend more money, but we tend to make more expensive decisions when we're in a desperate situation. And I've been there. I know many of you have been there. Some of you might be there right now. So for example, if you go to the bank to get a loan when you're dead flat broke, the bank's going to tell you no. And the only place you can go to get money when you're broke are places that will cost you dearly in the long run. I mean, you can imagine there's even some movies written about this, right? You could rob a store, that's going to cost you dearly. You could borrow money from friends, that could cost you dearly in relationships. Money becomes very expensive. By the way, borrowing money from friends can prove to be really expensive over time. Desperate people get the short end of the stick when it comes to trying to get help. It's true. But if you go to the bank for a loan when you don't need one because you're financially stable and you have lots of savings and a great credit score, they cannot wait to give you a loan. And they usually give it to you at a better interest rate because your credit is good, right? But when you're desperate, the interest rate goes up if you can even get the money. Who typically goes into a loan or check cashing center that, those check cashing centers you see on the corners in some of the lower income neighborhoods? Typically, someone that's using a check cashing center is someone who is desperate for money. And what happens? They get charged up to 30% of their entire check just to cash it. Why? Because they're desperate and they own you when you're desperate. They own you when you're desperate. In network marketing, when someone's struggling, they tend to take desperate measures that can ultimately lead to ruin. And some of you may have been on the receiving end of that. People have been known to compromise their values, make rash, destructive decisions, abuse relationships, and of the interest of quick money, they'll lie to get you to join them. So most network marketing affiliate opportunities that tell you that you're going to make quick money, they're desperate. And so they do things like front end loading, which is encouraging people to buy or front load anywhere from, say, $1,500 to $5,000 in product so they can qualify for a higher bonus level or promotion. And this practice is frowned upon in the regulatory agencies and can actually get a company shut down. But when companies get desperate, they start having fire sales and they'll, put these big packages together that, they charge thousands of dollars for these packages. And then what happens is those distributors end up with tons of product in their garage that can't be sold. They can't get it sold. And so everybody's getting big checks, but it's a fallacy because everybody's got all this product in their garage. And there have been a number of companies that have been shut down because of that. Many companies have been investigated for front-end loading. Another thing they might be doing is using enticement. So there's a reason I bring this up because we see it every day now with all these affiliate programs out there where they're grossly exaggerating income possibilities or using smoke and mirror tactics to entice you to come on board with them. Like I've heard network marketing companies say, we pay out 70% of what we take in. Well, that's not always true. In fact, it's rarely true. In fact, I've never seen it to be true because they need money to run the company. And so what they're doing is they're saying we potentially could pay out this amount of money, but there's breakage in the program. That's the part they don't tell you, that very rarely does anybody ever qualify for that money. So the money never gets paid out. But they say we pay out 70%. They only pay out 30%, but they say they pay out 70% because potentially you could make 70%. So it's just grossly exaggerating income possibilities and using smoke and mirrors. And in the long run, these desperate measures, they almost always lead to financial ruin. And I can predict when a company's getting ready to crash and burn by their field tactics, usually when they start taking these desperate measures. And many of your friends will run from you if you're desperate and needy. Unfortunately, people are greedy. And when they see things that sound too good to be true, they run to those things. But your business will suffer and you'll most likely struggle if you're emotionally, financially desperate. So if you're in a position personally, we've got a program that has withstood the test of time, never been challenged. Our program is ultimately very conservative, which is a good thing because it makes this a legacy company. It's a company that's going to be around for a very, very long time. Desperation is a tough place to be when you're trying to build a business. So if you find yourself in that mental state of desperation trying to build a business, it's difficult. And most of us have found found ourselves in that situation from time to time in our lives. I equate a state of desperation to a state of emergency. You have to act quickly. You have to be decisive. You're going to drown and your ship is sinking. So if you find yourself broke or desperate, here are a few things that you can do to prevent disaster. First thing is you want to quickly, that's the word quickly, get yourself out of the emotional state of desperation. Your state of mind has little to do with the physicality of your situation. Like you can be drowning physically, but that doesn't mean you need to act desperate, because that's what will actually cause you to drown. Like literally, if you panic when you're drowning, you're more likely to drown. We've all felt that desperate fear, only to learn that our fear was completely unwarranted. And if we had just relaxed through it, we would have been fine. Fear and desperation are both states of mind, and they're not connected to the actual situation. And we've all been there where we feel that sense of panic, right? I'm sure that you've all felt that sense of panic, but you can't be productive, resourceful, creative, open to new possibilities if you're in that state of panic. So you need to recognize it. That panic is it's our physical response to a surprise event or uncertainty. And as entrepreneurs, we want to learn to adjust our state to remain calm when things are out of whack. So everybody has different degrees of this, or you might find yourself going through waves of it. So like some days you might be really panicky and really fearful, and then other days you might feel really good. You want to learn to capture that state of feel good and see if you can overlay it on top of your life when things are feeling chaotic and out of control. So yeah, you probably heard the phrase, don't ever let them see you sweat. That was in an old commercial. That was a great slogan for a commercial. I don't remember it was what that was from, but I think it was a commercial. You adjust your focus and your language and reclaim your power. And this is the only state of mind that'll serve you in a desperate situation. I had a conversation with Cody this weekend about just this, the importance of breathing, like breathing into whatever challenges you're facing, finding your center, and do your best to get out of that state of fear and into the state of love, right? Into the state of positivity. You can do that by refocusing, by sending cards. You can do that by taking a step back and looking at the big picture. You can take it on by breathing into it. So when my last company went out of business, I went from having a very, very large cash flow to almost no income at all. And I had big bills because of the life that I'd built. And I felt that state of paralyzing fear. Although I wasn't in a desperate situation, I felt desperate. I wasn't in a desperate situation. I was bleeding financially, but I wasn't in a desperate situation. But I definitely felt the paralyzing fear. And fear of missing out is a state of mind. It always leads to ruin. It's a gambler's state of mind. You can't go there if you want to survive. It'll actually take you down. So when you find yourself there, it's really the challenge, and it is a challenge because we all feel that fear. It's real to us when we're feeling it. It's a challenge. It's the challenge of entrepreneurship. With being an entrepreneur, we're faced with the challenge of how do I reframe this to make it serve me, not, take me down. So in every bubble, there are thousands of people that lose everything because they slip into a state of fear that causes them to make bad decisions. And those bad decisions ultimately cost them. So the first thing is you want to quickly change your state and constantly be working on that. One of the things that I've been doing every morning is there's a guy named Wim Hof. I may have mentioned him on a previous training. Wim, W-I-M, Hof is H-O-F. And he's from the Netherlands, and he's known as the Iceman. He's probably in his 60s, and he's broken a bunch of world records. I haven't dove deep into his work, but he's written some books, I think. And on YouTube, he's got his breathing exercises, and I've been doing those every morning. It's about 7 or 8 minutes, where you take in 30 deep breaths, very, very deep breaths, and it's a guided meditation. And then you let the breath out and you hold your breath. After you've let that last breath out, you hold your breath for 30 seconds. Then you do 30 more deep, slow breaths, and then you hold your breath for 60 seconds. And then you do 30 more deep, slow breaths, and then you hold your breath for a minute and a half. Then you do 30 more deep breaths and you hold your breath for 2 minutes. You do that 5 times. And in between all of that, you take a deep breath in and hold it for 15 seconds. It's a guided meditation. I found it on YouTube. I was actually introduced to it, and it helps to reset my day. No matter how I'm feeling when I wake up in the morning, it resets my day. You don't have to do that. For you, it might be reading the Bible, or for you, it might be going for a run, or for you, it might be doing yoga, whatever it is for you, something to reboot your day and get yourself in a center. So the second thing when you're feeling that state of desperation is to quickly stabilize your financial situation. And it's okay to temporarily get a job that can help you to pay the bills while you're building your network marketing business. I've had to take many steps back over my career to ultimately go to where I am today. At one point, I had to rent out my primary residence, sell both of my cars, and take out a second mortgage. That was in the transition between my last company and what I'm doing now. I even took the bus to work years ago for 2 years when I still had a job, which was many, many years ago. But I took the bus to work for 2 years because I couldn't come up with the money to fix the alternator on my car. You may need to sell some stuff that you can later replace. You might find out that the stuff that you sold wasn't that important to you in the first place. So in other words, you want to plug the holes in your sinking ship. If you're feeling like your ship is sinking and you're in a peaceful state of mind, at that point, rather than making desperate measures, take calculated measures, and you plug the holes in your sinking ship, and making filing bankruptcy a last resort. Only do that if you have absolutely no other options. Some of you have learned this lesson the hard way. And beware of the companies out there that say that they'll help you because they're really good at taking your money and then offering little to no help. Lots of companies out there like that. And then also be very aware that when you're in a desperate situation, the sharks can smell your blood and they will come out and they'll make you promises that can take you even further down, because we make bad decisions when we're in that state of mind. How many of you can relate to that? Put a comment in if you've made a bad decision in a bad state of mind. Let's hear your drama. Write a sentence. I can tell you probably 10 things that I did when I was in a bad state of mind, that desperate measures that I took that were the wrong decisions. And I ultimately, a few years later, realized, oh my gosh, if I hadn't done that because out of fear, look where I would be today. So number 3, pedal to the metal. There is no time to waste. Put on your blinders, turn off the TV, work your tail off. Broke and desperate people spend hours in front of the television set and playing video games. We probably don't have a lot of video game players on this training, but that's where a lot of broke people spend their time. So picture this in your mind. It's pathetic. People that are struggling, that are in the state of panic, are sitting in front of the TV set for hours a day, eating food that they shouldn't be eating, being lethargic. So steps 1 and 2 that I mentioned, they'll help you to survive. Step 3 will get you out of this mess that you've created for yourself. So follow the plan. Be vigilant in your mission. Fill your calendar with appointments. If you're not filling your calendar with appointments, figure out, be resourceful, be centered, figure out what you need to do to meet the right people. Come up with a plan to meet the right people to begin to fill your calendar, and then plug in, be creative and resourceful, expand your list, be passionate about your business, put energy into your business. As soon as you start breathing every day and turning off the TV set, you'll find energy that you didn't even know you had. You don't even need a lot of hours. You can do this on 2-3 hours a day. So number 4, probably not a surprise that this one's going to be in. In fact, if anybody can think of what number 4 might be when you're in a state of desperation, when you're in a state of emergency, what do you think number 4 is? Drop it in the comments if you can think of what it might be. It just makes sense. What do you need to grow? Personal development. You have to get your head out of that state of fear into a state of gratefulness and love. Reading and listening to positive audios, getting involved in our trainings will help you get into that right state of mind. You won't attract the success in your life that you're looking for if you're wallowing in the sorrow and desperation. And I've been there. Like I go there sometimes. It's not a great place to be, not a creative place to be. It's not a place to be if you want to grow. You have to change your mindset and find your joy again, and you attract who you're being. So network marketing is designed as a part-time business. Over time, you can create a substantial residual income that will replace or even exceed your job income. Even great wealth is possible through network marketing. However, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes work, it takes vision, it takes faith, commitment, and resourcefulness. It takes all those things, and you can only find that balance in a place of centeredness, peacefulness. So be cautious of the promise of quick money. Be cautious of be cautious of the promise of big money. It's all around us today, especially with the social media. I was talking to Cody about this. I know a few people that are selling programs that promise big money, and they talk about big money right now, that are broke, like almost homeless broke, but they're building their business hoping that this promise of big money, which by the way is a no-no in the world of the regulators, but they do it because they're under the radar. And it's easy for them to attract people because it sounds so good. Like you're going to make $10,000 to $20,000 a month on your second day, or second month rather, that kind of stuff. And it's enticing, it's appealing. And then you pay money, and you pay a lot of money. and you're in a state of desperation. You don't have the money, so you max out your credit cards. Be careful of that. Be cautious of the promise of quick money, because Cody was telling me, I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah. We were driving to the airport. He drove me to the airport, and he was saying that he believes it's upwards of 80% of the people that are selling these big programs that are expensive programs are broke, and they're like literally broke. They have no money. And I don't know what the percentage is, but it's high. I know some of them personally. They've called me before and told me their situations. And then 3 weeks later, they're selling a program that costs $8,000, and they're telling everybody how you can make $8,000 a week. It's like a freaking chain letter. You know, it's crazy. So as I learned to fly helicopters, I had to master the auto rotation. I talked a little bit. Well, I talked about hovering this past weekend, but the auto rotation is a maneuver that's required if there's ever an engine or a drivetrain failure while you're in flight. If the low rotor RPM horn comes off, the siren goes off. It's a low rotor, meaning the rotor is moving too slow through the air to keep the helicopter flying. You have to take immediate action. Like the split second you hear the horn, you have to take immediate action. There's no time for thought. It's a desperate situation. A crash is imminent unless I follow the steps to glide the helicopter in. And there's a whole bunch of things you do all at the same time. In order to make that happen, you have to take immediate measures if you're going to land safely. And if you are in an emergency situation in your life or in your business, you got to take immediate measures if you're going to land safely. So the good news is you do have a vehicle that can fix the problem. Your situation can be completely solved within the next 18 months if you'll commit, focus, and work. If you'll commit, focus, and work for the next 18 months, turn off the TV, stop watching the news. I'm not going to tell you that I never watch the news. It's like in our face all day long. I mean, on our social media and all that, but you got to get really focused on what your ultimate goal is for your life. What are your dreams? By the way, there doesn't seem to be much financial desperation in Las Vegas right now. Apparently, these crazy people didn't hear that there was a fiscal cliff. The strip has been bumper to bumper for like weeks, for years, actually, past few years since the pandemic, bumper to bumper, gridlock. They're building stuff like crazy. Every hotel room in town is booked at our highest room rates. To get a reservation at a restaurant in Vegas, you got to make it 2 weeks in advance. Crazy. So I don't know what they're thinking, but 2023 is set to be one of our best years ever. I'm excited about how the company is positioned to support the growth we're going to be creating over the next 12 months. Dave talked about that tonight. There's never been a better time in our history to build a business. We have a world-class mission, a product that's unique and makes a huge difference in the world, a lucrative opportunity that has just gotten more and more lucrative over the past year with some of the new programs that we've launched, with the card packages and with the prompting process package and the coaching program, and now prompting to prosperity. So we've got in the world, we've got a very lucrative opportunity with no products to purchase, no inventory, no deliveries, no money to collect from customers. Let's look at, and Callie really did a great job of talking about these two things tonight. And we are on the same wavelength, because what I was already planning on talking about tonight, she talked about tonight on Rally with Callie. Talking about the business is the least effective way to market it, talking about it. And that's what most new people, and we sometimes all fall into that. We find ourselves talking about the business, and that is like the absolute worst way to market it. Maybe the worst way would be to market it in the cards. That might even be worse. But talking about it is right up there with the worst. So each of the leverage tools that Callie talked about tonight that I'm going to mention, you have them right at your fingertips. They're going to cost you almost nothing, and you probably won't be surprised when I mention them. They're 100% more effective than talking to people. And the three that I want to mention is number one, Prompting Pro, the Send a Free Card. Number two, Prompting Pro, the weekly Wednesday webinar. And number three, daily prompting card sending, using the system to send cards. Those three things, if you do those three things every day, Prompting Pro, get them to send a free card. Prompting Pro, the weekly Wednesday webinar, inviting people to that, and then using the system to send out heartfelt cards daily. If you focus on those three things and constantly be looking for creative ways to expand your list and to meet more people and to invite more people, that's really what we're doing. So anyway, I finished up a little early. I didn't think I would. I had a lot for you tonight. Covered a lot of things. So hey, do me a favor, drop one comment. Just drop one comment telling me what touched you the most about tonight's training. Like, what was the one thing that you got the most from tonight's training? Drop that in the comments, and then have a great week, and hope you got some good, fun, productive things scheduled for the week. Have a good one, everybody. Nice chatting with you. Take care. Bye-bye.